Ranking the martial arts by usefulness for rugby tackling, part 2. Yesterday, I revealed what I think are the F, E, D, and C tier martial arts if you want to cross-train and become a more effective rugby tackler. If you didn't see it already, visit my channel to watch part 1. If you saw that, let's jump in and reveal the B, A, and S tier martial arts. In reverse order they are: B tier, MMA. Why B? Because MMA fighters are the generalists of the fight world. If you train at an MMA gym, there's going to be a whole lot of stuff that isn't applicable to rugby, namely striking and submissions. With that said though, there is a bunch of wrestling involved in being an MMA fighter, and that is the slice that we're interested in as rugby athletes, the art of taking and resisting human beings down to the floor. One thing to bear in mind, however, is that MMA-specific wrestling against the cage is becoming an art in itself. It is not rare to see Olympic-caliber wrestlers in the UFC get out-wrestled once the cage is thrown into the mix, and there's no cages in rugby. The A tier is Greco-Roman wrestling and Kapsagat. Kapsagat is a Siberian form of wrestling that's kind of like non-fat sumo. If any part of your body besides your feet touch the floor, game over. That's really the part of grappling that we're interested in rugby. Get them on the ground. The reason why it's only an A is for the same reason as sumo. We need that extra step of holding our opponent on the ground to complete a tackle, and this rule set is indifferent to that fact. It's also unique to Siberia, so good luck training in it. It is, however, one of the contact games that we teach inside of Learn to Tackle though. Greco-Roman is the cousin of freestyle wrestling, but you can only grab the opponent above the waist. That's obviously great for training upper tackles where we connect to the ball to prevent offloads, but it's only a piece of the puzzle for rugby. What I do particularly like about Greco though is that it outlaws any use of the legs and it incentivizes holding your opponent on the floor, which are two great habits for rugby tackling. S tier, freestyle and folk style wrestling. The daddy of martial arts for rugby tackling is undoubtedly freestyle and folk style wrestling. There are differences between the two, but for our purposes, they're one and the same, and they have massive carryover to rugby tackling as takedowns are most of the sport. Firstly, you're gonna have to learn skills that access the entire body. Everything you can do in Greco, plus a whole lot more. You'll learn skills that will transfer to all 4 of the core skills in the Learn to Tackle curriculum: lower, middle, and upper tackling, and snapdowns. There's no clothing to grip, so you only learn good habits that will transfer to the field. Getting your arms around some part of your opponent and either joining your hands or squeezing like hell to try to join your hands. There's even secondary benefit to some of the non-takedown part of the sports. Push-outs are a useful tool in general for rugby skills like rucking and mauling, and even things like leg laces in freestyle can apply to what we call the roll finish in the Learn to Tackle system. So there's the list. Regardless of what martial art you choose to cross-train with for rugby, remember that the skills you learn are just the building blocks of becoming a more effective tackler. There still remains the important step of learning how to apply them in a rugby-specific context, progressing the information and decision-making demands up to the kind of speed and complexity that we see in rugby, and also dosing the number of efforts that we have to be able to achieve to meet or exceed the worst case scenario game demands. If that sounds like a lot, you're right, it is, and that's why we laid it all out in Learn to Tackle. LearnToTackle.com if you want the course. Thanks.